Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fine Leg podcast. Thank you very much for your support last time. But this time we're going to go for some unpopular cricket opinions. And I think James is going to start us off.
Okay, my first unpopular opinion is that Tom Latham walks into any Test opening partnership in the world.
And I entirely agree with that.
I think he's probably one of the most underrated opening batsmen in the world at the moment.
I think that's a recurring theme throughout New Zealand. That all their players are a bit underrated for me. But Tom Latham, he's definitely a candidate for your cover drive team.
Yeah, I'll put a clip up of that actually.
It's a very confident stroke from Latham.
Because I did last time with Root, Kohli, and Barber, which was quite fun to watch in the middle. But yeah, Tom Latham, he's cracking. Even in ODIs, batting down the order. He scored 50 in the final, or 45 or something.
Yes, 45, I think.
Brought New Zealand through those middle overs where they were really sort of stuck for runs when Taylor and Williamson were dismissed cheaply. It was almost Latham and Nicholls that brought them through that innings. Nicholls at the start and Latham towards the end. Yeah,
I think Latham, he can bat for long periods of time. His 264 against Sri Lanka, that I think that holds the record for the highest score whilst carrying the bat, which is to carry your bat alone is very impressive, especially in a team that contains Williamson, Nicholls, some really good other players.
Ross Taylor, yeah, he's impressive. And also the thing about Tom Latham is he is just a fluent player to watch as well. Yeah, so I could see him teaming up with David Warner in Australia as an opening partnership. See him teaming up with Rory Burns in England as an opening partnership.
Then I'd put him with Sharma for India, 100% over Rahul. Yeah, I think he's a really solid player, just very compact, and obviously he can keep as well as nearly anyone, which is very useful for someone who would walk in for his batting anyway.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm going to go on to Bodyline because I think it's brilliant. I think
you think it's a tactic, it works.
If you can devise a plan that takes down the best batsman in the world, it's a good plan. I think the problem was at the day, everyone was worried about hurting people, but I think it was just ahead of its time. Nowadays, people are aggressive. They try and hurt people. I mean, Australians was all up in air about it at the time. And then this summer against Archer or any of our tail enders, they'd have fought two men behind score on the leg side, catching mid-wicket, short leg.
Yeah, Stuart Broad often gets a welcome to the crease with a nice short ball.
Yeah, I think it was just a genius tactic, really well used, and it won the Ashes. If the England team came out with a slightly controversial tactic that wasn't against the rules and won the Ashes now, down under, we'd all be delighted about it. Yeah. Even if it meant someone stuck in hospital.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, yeah, I think the bodyline tactic, because the time that they used it, they weren't wearing face guards on their helmets. Obviously, you can probably see where they're coming from, going up in arms. Well, that's just not quite. Because cricket is synonymous with like fair play. I think that's the phrase the Australian Prime Minister used with the sandpaper incident.
Yeah, but also when it's about fair play, but everyone knows if you've won the fair play award at a tournament, it means you were dreadful.
Yeah, true. But I think bodyline nowadays is probably more effective. I don't think in the Ashes England bowled round the wicket enough to Steve Smith. Trying to force him across his stumps. Either to hit him in the body if you're bowling a vicious bounce or wrap him in the pads. So I think England have got to employ that against the best batsman in the world.
Yeah.
Especially with two bowlers now bowling above 145 Ks consistently.
100%.
So my second unpopular opinion, and this is really unpopular, but I definitely believe this. KG Rabada is the best fast bowler in the world?
Not a chance. Look, there was a point where he was the only bowler around that was on track to beat Anderson's record, but he came onto the stage with a boom. But I mean, that's starting to peter out. I mean, better fast bowlers around. Oh, they're numerous. Pat Cummins, far better. Anderson, when he's fit, far, far better. Rabada's just fast. Yes, he swings it a bit now and again. But, I mean, Pat Cummins bowling those amazing balls to get Joe Root out consistently. Anyone else who can swing the ball is far more effective. If you can just swing the ball at 95 Ks, you're better than Rabada.
No, the spell that Rabada bowled at David Warner, maybe in Pretoria, in the famous Sandpaper series, that spell that Rabada bowled at Warner, 10 overs of just pounding the ball down on a good length and getting it to nip away. Warner didn't score a single run, and then he eventually castled him straight through. And he did that consistently in that series. He was swinging the ball at 145, 150 Ks. He was deadly, getting Steve Smith out, and obviously the whatever that shoulder bump incident. Even in the series that we played against South Africa, Rabada getting Root out and then, celebrating passionately. I think he's got to watch his temperament. But when you watch KG Rabada bowl, you are worried as a fan. Maybe perhaps more than a batsman, you're worried when you see Rabada. Even when he's not given the new ball, I think that fires him up even more. So you're worried.
He's got a bowling average of 22, which is 22.9, which is very impressive. I mean, of course, he is a very good bowler, but I think he can't bowl on the right wicket for him on a hard, fast wicket that might seem a bit. The right wicket for him, yes, he's probably the best. But overall, Pat Cummins can bowl just not as good as him, but nearly on a hard wicket. But Pat Cummins could also bowl really well in England, which he showed.
Well, we haven't seen Rabada in England. We've got to wait because he came in 2017, but obviously he was a new kid on the block then. So a little bit inconsistent with line and length and stuff. But even in the ODI games, when England's top order got absolutely skittled, that was Rabada going straight through Roy, Hales, Root, even when he was a young gun in ODIs. So I reckon if we give him a series in England, and then we'll really be able to see.
Virat Kohli isn't that good a batsman.
In what format?
In Test.
Okay.
Yeah. ODI T20 is great, but in Test, I'm looking at this home and away thing. In his home conditions, he averages 70, which is much better than most batsmen at home. But Steve Smith averages nearly 70 as well. But away, Kohli averages 44. That's the average of a decent batsman in other conditions, and I think the English batsmen are definitely they've got it a bit hard because England is a much harder place to bat than most other countries, and which will affect their averages hugely across a period of time. And I think when you look at away, especially for people from Australia, South Africa, places that basically don't use a Duke's ball, they're often so much better at home because of the Kookaburra ball, which is so easy to bat against.
Well, I've often heard arguments that Virat Kohli is just an outstanding flat track bully. That's the exact phrasing that I've heard from people. And you look at the series in England that we played summer 2018. Yes, he scored a ton. Yes, he scored the 97 when the game that they battered us. But yes, he also got out for a golden duck whilst trying to save some of the games.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be the best batsman in the world and score 1 ton in a series, it's not. I don't think that's right. I think you've got to come here like Steve Smith and just blow everyone away. That shows you're the best batsman in the world. And yes, Steve Smith, he definitely used to have a real big difference, very similar to to Kohli's between home and away. But I think he's improved on that, and I think Smith is a much better batsman than Virat Kohli. I think there are many better batsmen, even within the India team.
Pujara is the most valuable asset to the Indian side. I think he comes in at number 3, and he is a batsman who is unafraid of just occupying the crease for hours. The Test Amazon documentary, they did a little thing about Pujara because he was obviously a massive problem for them. They couldn't get him out. He was just batting for hours and hours. And he just said, I just love batting. I just love being in the middle. He was just in the middle in Australia, and they couldn't get him out. And that's the first time India have ever won a series in Australia.
I think that's one thing that we're definitely reverting back to. I think the world got taken over by batsmen like Warner, who hit quickly in a Test match. But I think now you've got players like Burns, Sibley, of course, Pujara, that are batting for long periods of time, and that's what you need.
Yeah, even
Latham.
Rassie van Dussen in the Newlands game, 19 off 170 before he was outdone by a genius plan. Just people who are unafraid of occupying the crease for long periods of time.
Stokes, when he went on, but at Headingley, he was
2 for 51.
Yeah,
2 off 51. 7 off 50. 3 off 73.
Yeah, I think you've got to have batsmen that can bat really long periods of time, and they're the ones that are going to hold an innings together. Without players like them, you don't have an innings, because that's what Cook did so well for years. He just stayed there. Batsmen play around him, and yes, Pujara's got an average of 50, which for someone who bats 3 and is going to be exposed to the new ball quite often is very impressive on the one hand, but still 50's a very good one, and that's up there with the best batsman in the world.
Well, if you look at the best batsman in the world, Root's average is just under 50. It's been over 50 for a long time, but it's just under 50 now. Smith's average is above 50. Kohli's average is 50 there or thereabouts. And I think Williamson's average is 50 or thereabouts.
Okay, so I reckon Chris Woakes could bat 3 for quite a few ODI teams around the world at the moment. I think when he played the West Indies and scored his 40, he was facing bowlers. Yes, they bowled a lot short at him, which he likes, but they're bowling at 90 miles an hour, and he was not struggling. He was not struggling whatsoever. As a lot of players in the England team have said, he's a really versatile batsman with one of the best techniques in the world. And I think he can score runs, he can keep it ticking over. He's not the man you want if you need 20 off the last over, shown in the World Cup when he went for a swing and he got 4 off quite a few, and that did not help.
4 off 6. 4 off 6.
4 off 6.
4 off 7.
Which did not help us at that time. But I think as a number 3, yes, he's probably not going to make the India team. He's not going to make our team because we've got Joe Root. But I reckon he could go in at 4 maybe, or I reckon you could put him at 6 in an ODI team, especially if in New Zealand ODI team, especially when Ross Taylor is going to have to retire fairly soon, and they don't seem to have anyone really big up and coming. And I think, actually, Nichols, I don't rate him either. And I think Woakes, yes, this is based on very limited information, but
no, I'll tell you the series that he was man of the series of, that ODI series we played after the Ashes in Australia, that 5-game series. Woakes was man of the series, not because of his bowling, but because he scored 2 50s and a really valuable 30 off 24 to see the second game through. In the 4th game when we were 8 for 5, we needed someone to step up. Morgan got 30. Then Pat Cummins came on, bowled a vicious ball, and Morgan was gone. Then he started batting with Moeen. No, he came in at number 8. Moeen saw how Woakesy was playing the game. Woakesy was playing really expansive cricket and playing some really nice shots over the fence, taking on the Australian bowlers. Moeen then holed out to deep mid wicket, I think, trying to replicate what Woakesy did. And Woakesy went on and scored 80 odd, and that almost won us the game. On a flat track, we almost defended 197.
Wasn't it against Sri Lanka?
95 off 92. Yeah, 95 not out. And then Plunkett hit the 6 off the last ball to tie the game.
Yeah.
Well, no one in that England team scored more than 20, I think it was, except Butler, who scored 93, and Woakesy, who scored 95.
Yeah. I think if he wasn't English, wasn't playing for England, he would definitely be viewed as much more of an all-rounder than he is viewed at the moment. I think he's a class act.
Yeah, and I think he's just a pure cricketer as well when he bats. We have to throw in a cover drive video.
Beautifully timed by Woakes. A hard-earned boundary.
Of course.
Because some of the England team, they say he's got the purest cover drive that any England player has in the team, and I think he's an outstanding batsman. I think he's probably a man to anchor the ship in a crisis as well. Right. My final unpopular opinion is that Rishabh Pant is overrated, not for his batting, but for his game management. The clearest example of that, the one that's screaming to mind right now, is the semi-final. India were 5 for 3 in a crisis. They weren't chasing a massive score, but the problem is they were facing a bowling attack that's really well disciplined and can get teams stuck in the middle overs. And that's what happened. There was 19 balls in a row where India hadn't scored a run. And instead of just trying to push Santner or Neesham into the leg side, just for 2, just to keep that scoreboard rolling, because they have explosive players that come after, of course, MS Dhoni, Hardik Pandya. And Rishabh Pant got so impatient against Mitchell Santner, he tried to thump him into the party stand and was caught on the boundary. And that, I think, just showed a lack of maturity more than anything, and a lack of game awareness that he probably needed at that point.
Yeah, against England before the World Cup, I believe, he got out to Rashid when, again, he needed to just press on, keep the scoreboard ticking over, but not get out. And what's he done? He's just put one out to James Vince as a sub fielder. And
yeah, I think he's a terrific talent. Don't get me wrong. The batting, some of his batting is fantastic. You hear on commentary, the commentators love him. His cover drive is fantastic. We'll obviously play a cover drive clip.
Super shot. He's a good player.
I just think that game management is what's going to take him from a good player to a great player. So I would say, like, an example, I don't know, the old Ben Stokes before he's come back and become much better, 2018, 2019. I think the old Ben Stokes was a good player, but I don't think you could have called him a great player. And I think now, obviously, Ben Stokes is a great player. So I think he has better game awareness now. And so going back to Rishabh Pant, I think he's got to earn that game awareness through playing more matches before he becomes a great player.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to round off the third episode of the Fine Leg to Fine Leg podcast there. I hope you've enjoyed our unpopular opinions, and we'll catch you guys on Wednesday.